Welcome back to episode 15 of the Rip City Rundown podcast, and today we're talking about a lot of things Blazers. We'll be talking about the coaching search, we'll be talking about the Blazers cap situation, we'll be talking about the Ben Simmons situation, as well as the Nurkic situation, and a lot more, honestly. First things first, we're joined by a special guest, our cousin Cody. How are you today?
Hello, I'm doing great. Thank you for letting me be here. It's an honor.
Yes, and Cody is from Oregon, so we're from the southeast, so we're Blazer fans, but we're not in Blazer country. Cody is from Blazer country. He's kind of sees the team around sometimes. You know, he's more within the team than we are. We're in Montana recording this on a family vacation, but we always have time for the podcast, and today, let's start with the coaching search. So what are you thinking about the whole situation right now?
All right, so right now we have three people that have gotten second interviews. We got Chauncey Billups, Becky Hammon, and Mike D'Antoni. Basically been the three favorites this whole time. The favorite as of right now, if you were a betting man, it would be Chauncey Billups. Dame sat in on the Chauncey Billups interview, which is not normal. Normally players don't sit in on the interviews, but Dame, it's obviously his first choice. So Chauncey's the favorite, but Becky and Mike D'Antoni also get second interviews. Who are you guys' favorite options?
First, Mike D'Antoni is the actual head coach, right? The others have no head coaching experience.
Yeah, so Mike D'Antoni coached the Rockets. We kind of talked about this in other podcasts, but he did the offense with James Harden, ISO stuff, small ball.
I think it's hard for me because we need more of a win-now coach, in my opinion. I don't know if it's worth wasting Dame's prime to develop the other coaches. So I'm going with Mike for my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point that a lot of people are bringing up is that Chauncey Billups and Becky Hammon literally have never had head coaching experience. Becky Hammon is more experienced than Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups has been the assistant for the Clippers for 1 year, whereas Becky has been learning under Greg Popovich, who's arguably one of the greatest coaches of all time. So I don't think you can necessarily go wrong. All three of them have their pros and cons, but Mike D'Antoni is kind of the proven surefire coach. Becky Hammon obviously would be the first female head coach, and I know a lot of fans in Portland would absolutely love that, including Jody Allen, the owner, which we will get to because I saw an interesting news article about that. But, of course, Dame looks like we're kind of torn here. I feel like the owner wants Becky. Jody Allen wants Becky Hammon. A lot of the fans want Mike D'Antoni, but Dame wants Chauncey.
I think in the end, you have to really do what Dame wants. I do think Dame would be fine with all three. I mean, he's been willing to work with He's worked with Stotts. He kept Stotts for a while. In the end, he'll probably be fine with any of them, but Chauncey is his first choice. So that's why I think Chauncey would be the favorite. But at this point, you don't know. You just got to wait until the news comes out, and then you'll know.
I do think that it is important to listen to Dame, but you still want, like, he's still a player. The front office still calls the shots. And the reason why I say this is the minute we gave Dame, like, a lot of power, he literally came out publicly and said he wanted Jason Kidd. And he really didn't use his power well there because we all know Jason Kidd was not going to be a head coach and not going to be a good one. So I think, yes, you listen to Dame, and I think it's more important to keep him in on the loop in the process than just abiding to whatever you wish, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. But that's what we have on the coaching search. I mean, there's really not much new things you can talk about other than these are the surefire three candidates, given the fact that they had second interviews. So now we're going to go into the Nurk situation because this offseason's a big deal for Nurk. He's got $4 million guaranteed, but on August 3rd, it will turn into $12 million guaranteed for his final year of his contract. It's been rumored he's unhappy. How do we approach Nurk this offseason, Cody?
Well, it's important for him to do what he wants. I think as a team, we can really benefit whether we got rid of him or kept him. I think he has a huge role in this team. I mean, if you look in the Denver series, every game he fouled out, we lost. Mm-hmm. Every game he didn't foul out, we won. He had the best plus-minus on our whole roster during that series. So I think his thought of his rumor of him thinking he doesn't have a role is not true.
Yeah, it's interesting because Nurk has such a big role on the team, and he's being paid, like, not a lot of money. He's being paid, like, very cheaply, but that contract is going to expire very, very soon, obviously at the end of the year. But so I would not be against re-signing Nurkic, but if there's any rumor of him being unhappy or him grumbling about his role, I just don't know, especially because yes, he was the best big against Jokic in that Denver series, but he still misses a lot of bunnies, a lot of flip shots. Sometimes his attitude's a little questionable on the court. I don't know.
How do you think of his future? He's 26 years old. He had a big injury. How do you see him moving forward?
The issue is, like, he was so good before his injury and on a trajectory to be, like, one of the better, like, upper echelon centers in the league. But, like, he's just been so hit or miss for me recently just because he'll have his huge games where he's super important. But, like, there's so many moments in the game, like you said, where he just, like, doesn't look like he's engaged, and he also just misses a lot of shots. So I think just his mindset, if he just comes back with that same mindset he had back when he was 22, 23, when he first got to the Blazers, he can be a really good player for us. But it's just like, will he get back to that?
I think part of it is I feel like anyone would get frustrated about this, but when you're the defensive anchor on a team and you have to cover for your guards' defensive shortcomings, Dame and CJ, and then you go down on the other hand and watch CJ just jack up shots, I feel like it could get a little frustrating. But I hope Nurk stays. I want him to stay. If he doesn't want to stay, however, he is a piece that we could get someone in return that could help the team. I don't know.
I do think it's odd that this rumor has come out that he's frustrated with his role, given the fact that, like, after the series, he talked about how, like, this was his favorite group of people to ever be around. This was the most happy he's been on a team. So just really confusing when it comes to Nurk. Obviously, you always want to win with the guys you've, like, built and, like, groomed. But, I mean, if there's a better option out there, then, I mean, sadly, Nurk is just going to have to go. But that's not something that's a guarantee to happen.
So, yeah, kind of the whole Nurk situation. Very small, cheap contract, but it's going to obviously he's going to ask for a pay raise, and the Blazers will have to make a call if they want to keep him or if they want to trade him. It is an expiring deal, so it is a little enticing for other teams. But that's the Nurk situation. Let's talk about the Ben Simmons situation. So, Game 7 against the Hawks, he is virtually non-existent on the court. He can't make a shot. He looks out of confidence, out of sorts. I just don't think he can play next to Embiid. What are your thoughts on, Simmons coming to the Blazers in exchange for CJ?
Very interesting idea. I mean, it's clear that he can just not shoot. I mean, Game 5, Game 6, Game 7, I think in all 3 games, he scored under 10 points. He gave up a gimme layup there in Game 7. It's just hard because he can develop. He's still young, and I feel like if he's playing around Dame can turn him into not necessarily a great shooter, but just an average shooter, a shooter that our team needs. But the biggest benefit we get from getting him is, of course, the defense. And getting rid of CJ and adding him to our lineup will definitely improve our defense and hurt our offense. But how badly can it hurt our offense? That's the X factor.
Yeah, and of course this is all contingent on if the Blazers can re-sign Norman Powell, because that's something that Dame wants. Dame wants Norman Powell to come back to the Blazers. And you can see why. He's not as gifted as CJ in terms of, like, shot making and offensive talent, but his defense and his just tenacity and his ability to just, like, his just athleticism. He's just way more athletic than CJ, plays better defense. He's a good shooter. He's not going to pull off a CJ Game 7 against Denver, but Norman Powell can still get buckets.
Something interesting if we were to go after Ben Simmons is we could have a really good small ball lineup possibly. And if we do bring in Mike D'Antoni, he obviously has some experience with the small ball. That's just something that you could do, like what the Warriors used to do. Like, I think Ben Simmons needs to turn into like a Draymond Green type of player, not someone that is literally looking to score at all. He's just facilitating. Dame plays off ball. Dame can literally turn into, like, try to emulate Curry with his off ball movement, and then Ben Simmons would just be our anchor on defense.
Would the small ball starting lineup be Dame, CJ, Norm? Dame, Norm?
It would be Dame, Norm, then you would have Rocco Simmons, and then that last person, it would just be probably a 3, depending on, like, who knows, we could sign people in the offseason. We'll get into the cap space and all that later in the video, but it could, like, at the moment, it would be like a DJJ or something along those lines.
A DJJ and small ball. I don't know about that one. Can't shoot. If you have Simmons and DJJ on the court, it's questionable with the lack of shooting. But Ben Simmons, the good thing for the Blazers is that Simmons is much more, I don't know, his needs or his skills and his, like, what he's good at is a big need from the Blazers. The Blazers need defense. Ben Simmons is probably the best one-on-one defender on ball in the NBA. And this is a prime opportunity for the Blazers to try to go get him, because in any other alternative reality, this is not happening, because this is the perfect storm, because Ben Simmons' value is so low right now because of his offensive ineptitude in the playoffs that stuff like this doesn't come around. We were talking about this off camera, I believe, I don't know, or off mic, a while ago, and how, the James Harden trade, or, all these big trades, it was a very specific situation. James Harden wanted out of Houston. Oh, my gosh. The Nets have KD and Kyrie. It just worked out for the Nets. This is possibly that time where it could work out for the Blazers, because for a while it's been CJ for Tobias. So the 76ers and the Blazers have been linked for a while. But now, with Ben Simmons playing poor and his value being so low, could the Blazers go after him? I think yes.
And even at this point, his value is so low that, there are people that think that we could get more than just Ben Simmons from from the 76ers. We can give CJ McCollum and receive Ben Simmons and another one. Now, it wouldn't be one of their big young pieces, but it would be just another serviceable role. So we're going to be talking about cap space now. Final thing I want to say about Ben Simmons actually is there's obviously other teams that are involved. So while we obviously want to lowball and try to give up as little as we can, if we were to trade for Ben Simmons, there are other teams that are interested. A specific team that has been rumored a lot is the Warriors, and they now have 2 lottery picks.
That does not make sense to me. Why the Warriors would want Ben Simmons, because they already have Draymond Green, who literally can't do anything on the offensive end. And now they want Ben Simmons, who also can't do anything. And I guess they'll have Clay back. But
how much do you think our defense will benefit if we do get Ben Simmons? Because I feel like we had trash defense. We're 29th of the year. We get Rocco. How much does it actually help us getting that one piece of defense?
I think it would at least turn us to an average defense, at least, which would be a huge step. Because CJ, you could arguably say, is our worst defender. One of him and Dame is our worst defender. And having Ben Simmons to now guard the LeBrons when we play LeBron instead of having to put Melo on him, it would just yeah, it would change a lot. Now, one player is not going to turn you into the best defense in the league, but
we also saw when you have Simmons, who's one of the best on-ball defenders, and Rocco is one of the best off-ball team defenders. We saw they were on the same team in Philly when Rocco played for the 76ers, and that worked beautifully for them. Didn't result in a championship, obviously, but Simmons and Rocco would be a very solid tandem on the defensive end. So now we'll go into the cap situation for the summer, and the Blazers, of course, are probably one of them. I don't even know compared to other teams, but they're an expensive team for being the 6th seed. So they're going to need to get better, but we're just going to talk about how deep into the luxury tax they're going to have to go to if they want to keep their players, which I don't think they should.
Yeah, so currently,
Melo can leave.
Everyone on the salary, we're committing $107 million to the salary, but if we bring back the exact same team, we'll go so far into the luxury tax, and that's bringing back Nurkic on a guaranteed $12 million deal, which still isn't even a lot. Bringing back Norm, that'll probably be anywhere between 15 to 20, 21 million. Melo, and restricted free agent Zach Collins. The key with Powell is we can go over as high as we want because we have bird rights, and that's you don't go as high as he wants. If he's asking for a max, you don't pay the max, but you give him a good bit of money. He's a guy that we've discussed him many times. We need him back. But you were implying that we shouldn't bring back a couple players? Who are those?
I don't think Enes Kanter should be offered a contract by the Blazers. I don't think Carmelo should be. Okay, Carmelo can come back, but the problem with Melo is he's so well respected in the league. It's Stotts would guarantee him half the game, no matter if he's shooting 0 for 7 or 0 for 8, because he didn't make shots that often. But I don't think we bring Melo or Kanter back. That defensive pairing, if we had a 10-point lead and Melo and Kanter came in, I'd go get a snack and I'd come back and we're down 5. I mean, it's just the defense was so horrendous. So I don't think we bring them back. I do think we bring back Zach Collins on a 1-year prove-it deal.
Yeah, I will agree. It was definitely tough seeing 36-year-old legs, Melo trying to guard the MVP, and then him kicking out to Austin Rivers for a step-back 3, or just absolutely annihilating Melo in the paint. really tough to watch. And Canner, just unbelievable.
With his turnstile defense. Look, we love Canner. And the run of the Western Conference Finals, he was an absolute animal. So nothing but respect for Canner, but he knows this. His defense is very sus. It's suspect.
Even Brad Stevens said it.
Yeah, so I don't think we bring back Canner. I think we can get another backup big that's a little bit better on the defensive end. I think my ideal offseason is we keep Powell and shop CJ. If the right deal's not there, don't just trade him for nothing. But if there's a deal that makes this team better, you got to trade CJ at this point.
The issue with keeping CJ is I just don't want to see the 3-guard lineup again. It just didn't work. You tried it. And I just I think if we brought back CJ, what if we brought him off the bench? We've talked about that.
But is he going to do that?
He's making like $30 million a year. You're not going to pay someone $30 million a year to come off the bench, sadly. And then you'll still probably end with a 3-guard lineup. So, I mean,
And the thing is, if you don't want the 3-guard lineup, but you can't just let Norm walk for nothing, especially after you traded Gary Trent Jr. for him. The whole point of trading Gary Trent Jr. for Norm was to lock up Norm for more than half a season. If you're trading Gary Trent Jr. for half a season of a player, Neil Olshey should be fired on the spot because that is terrible. And Gary, okay. What about this? A little CJ to the Raptors for Gary Trent Jr. Bring him back.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. But when looking at the free agency class, obviously with us saying we don't want to bring back Canner and Melo, it's literally because their defense is so horrendous. So why don't we look at some players that are really good defenders? And actually the best defender in the league this past year rating-wise was the New York Knicks starting center in the playoffs, but backup center, Nerlens Noel. And he's a free agent. So I think that's a guy we could go after. We do have our middle-level exception that is going to be worth $9.5 million. So that's plenty of money.
Please
right
get
there
Jay Crowder.
to go after a couple guys. We just need guys that are just
3 and Ds. We need more Rocos.
We are staring at the Suns, who don't have Chris Paul and Devin Booker with a broken nose, and they have Cam Payne going off for 30 points.
Look,
why can't we have that?
The Blazers got swept by the Nuggets. The Nuggets got swept by the Suns. And the Suns are up 2-0 on the Clippers. We have such...
We won a couple games.
No, we didn't get swept, but we lost in 6, which it honestly felt like a sweep, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, okay.
But it just shows, even Dame said it, this team, I think we underperformed against the Nuggets. We should have beat the Nuggets, but to see the Nuggets get swept by the Suns just shows the Blazers have a ways to go. And I think it starts with trading one of your backcourt, and we're obviously not trading Dame, so who does that leave? CJ McCollum.
He is 30 years old. Another thing to just keep in mind.
Okay, also, I don't know if this is fake, but I saw something on Instagram. It's this Dame account I found. It's pretty legit. I don't know. But he said it's like a Dame fan page. It's not Dame Daily. I'll tell you that if you want to know. But they said that the Blazers front office assured CJ that he's not getting traded this offseason, which I don't know if that's real or fake. I really hope that's fake. Do you know?
I think that's fake because I don't know if that would be released if it was true. Now, in Neil Olshey's press conference, we talked about it in another podcast. He did say that it's not inevitable that we're going to make big changes, that the new coach that comes in is going to have to make this team a championship team with the current roster. So that could imply that Neil Olshey doesn't want to make trades. But who knows? That was before Ben Simmons was available at such a low cost. So
here's the thing about Neil Olshey is you put the blame on Terry Stotts, which is probably a little fair, and then probably partly the blame is on Neil Olshey too for assembling the roster he's created. He's assembling a defensive unit of Melo and Cantor and Simons. I'm sorry, but the defense is not there. So part of the blame is on Olshey, but he's been using the I'm going to blame Stotts card. Well, Stotts is gone, so you better perform now, or you're next, buddy.
Okay. He could be next. That's all we have for this portion of the podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about around the league. Let's go to this Hawks-Bucks series. Last night, Hawks win game 1 behind Trae Young, who went off. So we'll keep our eye on that the rest of the year or the rest of the series. Also keep our eye on the Suns and Clippers. Obviously, the Suns, we were watching that game with the buzzer beater by DeAndre Ayton. That was pretty insane. But that's going to do it for this podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe.
Yep.
give us a rating on Spotify, and that'll be it. Peace.